Cabinet met and the first report was an update on Zimbabwe's response to the COVID-19 outbreak. Cabinet received an update on the country's response to the COVID-19 outbreak, and this was presented by the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs as chairperson of the ad hoc interministerial task force on Zimbabwe's response. As of 24 August 2021, which is yesterday, Zimbabwe's cumulative COVID-19 cases stood at 123,320, with 108,660 recoveries and 4,320 deaths. The recovery rate stands at 88%, with 99% of COVID-19 positive cases being attributable to local transmission. The number of active cases stands at 10,340. Government notes that there was a 32% decrease in weekly cases from 3,761 during the week ending 15 August 2021 to 2,564 in the week ending 23 August 2021. The areas which recorded the most significant numbers of new cases were Manicaland, which had 429, Harare Metropolitan Province had 385, Mashonaland East Province 311, Masvingo Province 274, and Bulawayo Metropolitan Province 265. Cabinet wishes to assure the nation that there are enough supplies of essential COVID-19 testing consumables, and government will continue ramping up the supplies. The nation is being informed that new boreholes were drilled while others were rehabilitated during the week under review. A total of 353 hand-washing facilities were commissioned at public places, and 775 hygiene promotion sessions were conducted during the reporting week. The Beitbridge Border Post quarantine centers received 24 deportees, while Plumtree took in 40. This brings the number of returnees received through all ports of entry to 31,249 as at 19 August 2021. Then moving on to primary and secondary education. Regarding the primary and secondary education, the collaboration between the Ministries of Primary and Secondary Education and Health and Childcare has buttressed the sector's COVID-19 prevention and management systems. The two ministries met with provincial teams to evaluate progress in the implementation of the joint operational plan of the standard guidelines for the coordinated prevention and management of COVID-19 at these learning institutions. The Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education also met with teacher organizations and deliberated on the safe reopening of schools, among many other issues. Noting with satisfaction the preparations for the resumption of classes in schools, Cabinet is advising that schools will reopen on the 30th of August 2021, that is for examination classes, and on the 6th September 2021 for non-examination classes. As such, the intercity and intracity transportation for learners will be allowed during school reopening periods, subject to close monitoring by law enforcement agencies. The nation is further informed that restaurants will be allowed to reopen for sit-in patrons who are fully vaccinated, subject to the production of vaccination cards and strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols. Cabinet further urges the nation to continue adhering to WHO protocols and national guidelines in order to totally contain the third wave and thwart the possibility of a fourth one, as the pandemic is still with us. I move on to the progress report on the procurement and rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. Cabinet received an update on the procurement and rollout of COVID-19 vaccines, which was presented by the Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Honorable CGDN Chiwenga. The nation is advised that as of 24th August 2021, a total of 2,382,359 people had received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and 1,506,445 they've received their second dose. This is across the country. Given the current vaccination statistics, Cabinet is confident that herd immunity will be achieved by December 2021. The country has already acquired 13 million doses out of the 20 million required in order to achieve herd immunity. On the advice of scientists, the vaccination program will also be extended to the 14 to 17-year age groups. The Ministry of Health and Childcare will employ the following strategies in the rolling out of the vaccination exercise. First, expanding the engagement of the private sector. And secondly, involving churches, universities, and other institutions of higher learning. And third, accelerating outreach campaigns, taking advantage of the integrated, expanded program for immunization. To speed up the vaccination program in Chitungwiza town, where vaccinations have been actually very low, and also to help alleviate the shortage of health personnel in Chitungwiza, the Chitungwiza municipality nursing staff has since been transferred to be part of the Ministry of Health and Childcare establishment. Vaccinations in border towns, hotspots, and people's markets is ongoing, with the targeted population fully vaccinated, save for those at Renkin, Stanley Hall, and Mutapa Market in Bulawayo and Gweru, respectively. The highest coverage of the first dose was recorded in Victoria Falls town, about 97.8%, Chirundu with 97.6%, Chiredzi 87.6%, Kariba 75.6%, and Nyamapanda with 68.9%. Then the highest coverage for the second dose was recorded in Victoria Falls with 75.8%, Chiredzi 59.4%, Kariba 48.7%, and Nyamapanda 43.7%. Government also targeted and vaccinated people working on the following economic projects, namely Hwange Energy Project in Matabele North, that's in Hwange, then the new Parliament building in Mount Hobden, here in Harare, and the Gwaisha Ngani Dam in Matabele North. The nation is advised that 2.5 million doses of vaccines were received between 19 and 24th August 2021. During the month of September, the country is expecting to receive 2.5 million doses of vaccines under direct purchase and 943,200 doses under the COVAX program. Government wishes to assure the nation that it has sufficient financial resources to procure all the required vaccines. The Chinese government has donated another 500,000 doses, while the Serbian government has made a donation of 30,000 Sputnik V vaccine doses. In the spirit of regional cooperation and solidarity, the government of Zimbabwe will donate 20,000 doses of vaccines to the government of Namibia. Then I move on to the update on the 2021 winter wheat production and the maize and cotton selling season. Cabinet received an update on the 2021 winter wheat production and maize marketing season as presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Settlement, Honorable Dr. Anxious Masuka. Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that the early planted wheat is now at booting stage in most provinces. Bird repellent has been procured to ensure efficient control of the quelea birds that have been sighted in all provinces. Government has begun a nationwide identification of roosting places of quelea birds, and farmers should assist by providing surveillance information on the roosting places. Additionally, also so that we can collect bird repellent from their nearest GNP, farmers are actually being encouraged to go and collect the bird repellent from the GNP depots so that they can protect their crops. The Parks and Wildlife Management Authority has been engaged to ensure efficient control of the birds, and in order to eliminate side marketing, wheat contractors are putting in place harvesting and transport logistics. The country's current wheat stocks of 81,419 metric tons are sufficient until the next harvest, which is expected to commence in September, which is next month. It is highlighted that 792,325 metric tons of maize, 11,769 metric tons of soybean, and 81,755 metric tons of traditional grains had been delivered to the Grain Marketing Board as at 24th August, which is yesterday. Mashonaland West had the highest maize and soybean intake, while National and Central was highest in relation to traditional grains. On tobacco marketing, the nation is informed that cumulative sales increased to 206 million kilograms compared to the 184 million kilograms that was sold during the similar period last year. The 81 million kilograms valued at $318 US dollars, $318 US million dollars, $318 million US dollars, and exported so far compares favorably to the 86,914,000 kilograms valued at US 283 million exported during the similar period in 2020. This reflects the impact of better prices. As part of the strategy to localize the funding of tobacco, the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board will contract 50,000 hectares valued at US $60 million compared to 12,000 hectares which was contracted the previous season. Then on cotton. On seed cotton intake, a total of 98,598 metric tons valued at 5.2 billion has been received at COTCO depots. The cotton is 66% of the targeted intake and has surpassed the 2020 deliveries by 20%. COTCO has paid to date $1,779 million and US dollars $1,746 to farmers, while Treasury has paid Zimbabwe dollars 620 million of the 850 million that was owed to cotton farmers from the 2020 marketing season. Then I want to give you the update on the proposed National Wetlands Policy and Guidelines, the identification and quantification of all irregular and dysfunctional settlements. Then I will also give you a report on the Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program 2. On the proposed National Wetlands Policy and Guidelines, Cabinet considered and approved the proposed National Wetlands Policy and Guidelines, and this was presented by Honorable Vice President CDGN Chiwenga as Chairman of the Enhanced Cabinet Committee on Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Management. The approved policy will guide wetlands management for incorporation in development planning by government, the private sector, and development partners. Traditional leaders also, communities and individuals will be included. The policy will facilitate the establishment of an effective and efficient institutional and legal framework for integrated management and enhance capacity building within relevant institutions involved in the management of wetlands. Government will designate all wetlands as areas that are unsuitable for settlement, gazette all ecologically sensitive wetlands, undertake orderly relocation of people in order to pave way for rehabilitation of wetlands, and enforce the requirement for Environmental Management Agency certification for any developments in sensitive wetlands. There shall be efficient measures for waste management from point of source, with stiff penalties being imposed for the offense of discharging waste into wetlands. Government shall establish wetland education centers countrywide, set up functional local wetland management institutions, restore the powers of traditional leaders in wetland management, and strengthen legislation to protect various habitats found on wetlands. Government will also intensify the development of climate change mitigation measures to safeguard wetlands, establish and develop recreation and eco-tourism facilities for sustainable wetland management, and promote efficient techniques and technologies for crop and livestock production on wetlands where these activities are considered appropriate. Treasury will avail in tranches the resources required to kickstart the rehabilitation of 20 wetlands, 2 per province, before the onset of 2021-2022 rainfall season. On the identification and quantification of all irregular and dysfunctional settlements, including in flood-prone areas, Cabinet received an update on the identification and quantification of irregular and dysfunctional settlements, which was presented once again by the Vice President CDGN Chiwenga as chairperson of the Enhanced Cabinet Committee on Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Management. Cabinet is informing the nation that the number of families in wetlands, that's irregular settlements, stands at 31,257 countrywide. The provision of relief to distressed households at the Budiro Hall holding camp here in Harare and other sites is ongoing. Government intends to provide alternative accommodation for the households before the end of this year, 2021, since the construction of flat apartments for the relocation exercise is now underway at various sites. Regarding the first 4 blocks of flats in Zarasekwa, which are targeted for completion by 31st December 2021, deck shuttering, steel reinforcement, and electrical tubing on Block 7 have been completed. Labor recruitment for the flats projects is continuing with the active involvement of the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Arts and Recreation. Out of the 53 recruits, 12 are trainee bricklayers from the Ministry of Fire and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, and they will be providing more artisans, including carpenters and plumbers. Under the former Messengers Camp projects, Treasury availed 200 million Zimbabwe dollars for construction works to commence at the Highfields, this is in Harare, and Senga, that's Gweru camps. The Public Works Department will construct 4 of the 8 blocks at the Senga camp, with the remaining 4 blocks being reserved for tendering. Treasury has provided 140 million to enable works to commence. Then the 14 Garikai Kalani Kuhle settlements will constitute the first phase, while the costing of additional settlements is ongoing. Cabinet has directed that the first phase should commence forthwith, utilizing the 75 million Zimbabwe dollars, which has been already been provided by Treasury to implement works at Kaudri Park in Bulawayo. That's about 40 million. In Binga, government has provided 7.5 million. Cross Debt, 7.5 million. And in Mashingo City, 20 million has been provided. In order to allow meaningful works to commence before the onset of the 2021-2022 rainfall season, Treasury is undertaken to disburse 450 million Zimbabwe dollars by October in tranches of 150 million in August, another 150 million in September, and another 150 million in October 2021. With regard to settlements currently on land that was not officially acquired, a nationwide verification exercise is being undertaken by a team constituted by the Ministries of Local Government and Public Works, National Housing and Social Amenities, and Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Settlement. The initial 10 farms that have so far been identified in this regard are Highwood, Rockwood, Umzi and Sussex under Mazowe District. Glen Forest, Gletwin, Lot 1 of Ayerport, a remainder of Curry Craig of Borodale Estate, and remainder of Tool Farm under Harare, and Akon in Goromonzi District. The farms are expected to be considered for regularization, and these will encompass proper layout plans and engineering drawings, as well as the resolution of double multiple allocations. The verification exercise is expected to complete by November 2021. Government is also examining the possibility of regularizing Caledonia and Marydown Estate under Goromonzi District through provision of modern human settlement infrastructure. The Zimbabwe National Geospatial and Space Agency will use drones to identify places where plans were not followed, and beneficiaries found to be compliant will be issued with title. Under the Smart City concept, the model adopted by Melfort under Harare Metropolitan Province will be replicated in Fig Tree in Matabeleland South Province and Chirundu in Mashonaland West Province. Cabinet further wishes to inform the nation that Shelter Afrique, a Pan-African banking institution, has already released $11 million to Bank ABC for the construction of social housing. Shelter Afrique is also funding a minimum of 3,000 and a maximum of 10,000 houses dedicated to His Excellency the President, and these houses will be distributed equitably across the 10 provinces of Zimbabwe. Local authorities are therefore being engaged to provide the land required for housing construction to commence. Land will be provided for Shelter Africa's SADC regional office in Zimbabwe and for a new building technology plant which Shelter Africa will set up in Harare. Moving on to the Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program. Cabinet received an update on the Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program 2 and was presented by the Vice President, CDGN Chiwenga, as Chairman of the Enhanced Cabinet Committee on Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Management. We wish to inform the nation that the program continues to register significant progress as evidenced by increased activity around the country. Cabinet noted the progress and directed that the emergency road rehabilitation be intensified in order to improve the state of roads and thereby facilitate the movement of essential supplies as well as ease of travel by ordinary road users. On the country's energy and power supply situation, Cabinet received a report on the country's fuel and power demand and supply situation, and this was presented by the Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Jim Soda. Cabinet noted with deep concern that some fuel companies are abusing the foreign currency obtained from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe auction to procure fuel and then sell the fuel to consumers in foreign currency. The companies are supposed to follow laid down regulations in order to enable the general motoring public to access fuel in the local currency. Cabinet was furnished with a comprehensive list of the companies and retail outlets abusing the foreign currency facility, and Cabinet directed that firm action be instituted against the unscrupulous traders. The action involves prosecution of offenders, cancellation of fuel trading licenses, or a heavy fine, as shall be determined by the team of relevant line ministries in conjunction with the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe as the source of the funds so abused. This is the end of the brief today. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.